Nothing can ever be achieved without enthusiasm. Find what makes you happy and work from that. My first rule was like, don't think about the people that are there, because there's 20,000 people looking at you.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Success in South Florida podcast. I'm your host, Adam Rossen. In today's episode, we have probably easily top 5 most famous person that we've ever had on the show. I am very
Only top 5?
Top 3. Well, I did have Zaslow. So
okay, all right.
I know, I had Zaslow, so I don't know where he is.
All right.
Maybe.
In the radio lore, he's way bigger than I am, and TV.
And we did Zaslow before we actually had the cameras. Because he's got a face for radio. So now, for the last year and a half or so, we've been doing them live and in person.
Got you.
Of course, Dale, we have to have you on here. We have Uptown Dale, the man, the myth, the legend, in arena host for the Miami Heat, for the three-time NBA world champion Miami Heat. Okay. And we're filming this in May. So, of course, we know the Heat.
Yeah, we're on hiatus right now.
Yes. And the most famous bar mitzvah host in bar and bat mitzvah.
Yes.
Quinces.
I like to call it entertainment.
Okay. Weddings.
Yes, everything.
You do brisses.
It kind of makes you a little shaky if you put some music on.
Okay. All right. Well, you can entertain the biff and not
right.
All right. So we have Uptown Dale. Dale, welcome to the show.
I appreciate it. We finally got it done. Scheduling was a doozy, but here we are.
I know. We had a competition of who could be the biggest diva, and I might have won. So thank you for coming.
No problem. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So all right, Dale. We've known each other for a few years, and I wanted to start off in saying, I was thinking about this morning as I was getting dressed, getting ready to come here. I'm like, I want to tell everybody just the story, because, Dale and I, we've only really kind of been close last 2 years. There's
right.
Maccabi, but I've known you for a long time. And it goes into the sports world of where when I was coaching the Maccabi games, which is, the Jewish Olympics, for the Boca JCC, whether you knew it or not, you were one of my hated enemies. That girls soccer coach, Dale from Fort Lauderdale.
I'm very low key. No one knows me, especially in Maccabi. I don't stand out at all.
Right. Yes. And I'm like, ooh, he's our competition now. Evil Dale. And then 2 or 3 years ago, I switched to the Fort Lauderdale JCC to coach the 16 and under Maccabi boys basketball team, defending gold medal champions, by the way. And then I love this guy. This guy's my brother.
It's one of those things, either you're with me or against me kind of situation. It's okay.
But that is sports in
all the way.
Yep. Right? Look at even right now the Panthers. Everybody loves Marchand.
Yep.
Right?
Before they hated them, either you're with me or you're against me.
Exactly. So I'm just so happy you're here, and I wanted to kind of just share that little story.
Share that.
Now I love you. For 10 years?
Yeah, that's fine. Competition breeds that. I understand.
That's the way it is, right? Mm-hmm. So, all right, Dale. So we're here to have you on. I know you have so much to give us, so much value to give us, just about you, your journey, everything. So let's just start us off. How did you kind of get to South Florida and get to be Uptown Dale?
Well, it has many layers to that. It starts on a small island of Jamaica. I'm originally from Jamaica. Moved here with my family at about 10, 11, not knowing what was coming my way. When you're brought up on a small island, you think that's it. You didn't know there's a world, and then you come to America where it has so many different facets. The biggest parallel or description I can add is, simplest form is, in Jamaica, you have one kind of cereal. Then you come to America and there's an aisle of like every different flavor. And that's one of the things, the biggest impressions I had when I came here is like the multitude of different facets of things that you could have. It's not just one thing. You could go in different directions. So walking down that aisle as a young child, looking at like, it's not only cornflakes, there's, I got my Pops, I got my Frosted Flakes, I got this, I got that. I was like, so having options is one of the things that I do remember first thing when I came to America.
And so...
Not the movie, by the way.
Right. Yeah. Well,
Coming to America.
They can make Coming to America 4, the Dale story.
The Caribbean version.
Right. And so when you're 10 years old, and look, we're sponges.
Mm-hmm.
I still think I'm a sponge now.
Right.
But you're seeing this whole new world, and maybe you're reflecting back and looking at things and going, wow, okay, so there's options. This is maybe the land of opportunity. How do you think that influenced you through your teenage and young adult years?
Well, it took me a couple of years to just get acclimated to just being in America and having all these different situations. The serial, in Jamaica, there was two television stations, and that was it. You come here, you could go for hours just clicking channels back and forth. So not realizing there's a multitude of choices is different. So it took me a while to get used to that. I went to 1 year of junior high. I skipped a grade because the Jamaican educational system is kind of the same thing as the English education system. So I skipped a grade because I was ahead. So I was not only skipped a grade, now I was smaller than everyone else, but somewhat of a smart ass. So, and then
Well, that stayed.
that
Right,
stayed.
yeah, yes, yeah.
That's in core, the core beliefs of myself. And I went to high school in North Miami Beach, go Chargers. And then I developed myself through high school. And that was a very weird time because I didn't want to stand out as much because I had a very thick accent coming from a small Caribbean island. And then you wanted to be like everybody else. You know, when you're in high school, you want to be like, you don't want to stand out. So I did my best to lose my accent and all that stuff. Every now and then you'll hear it, but for the most part, I try to lose that because you didn't want to stand out different from other kids. But it was a great learning experience. Growing up in North Miami Beach, graduated high school, and then attended University of Miami. And that was another step. So it was different ways of growing up, and I'm kind of glad I did it the way I did because I'm glad how I learned different things, how I became a person. My formative years helped me become the person I am. I don't think I would want to grow up now in this TikTok era of, okay, you don't want to do it. Okay, fine, don't do it. There's no hard work. There's always an easier route. I had to do the hard route, and makes me appreciate what I have more.
So as you're talking about that, because look, I'm 44. I graduated high school in 99.
Right.
So I think I'm part of the oldest millennials, or even that micro generation of 5-6 years where we did have that analog childhood, digital teenage years. I mean, I remember having a computer. I was probably 8 years old, though.
I grew up with Blu-ray, VCR, DVDs, Walkman. What else I can think about? Blockbuster,
right?
Returning on Time, Please Be Kind, Rewind. Yeah. So those are my formative years.
Right. Yeah. So same with me. And so, by having that, I don't know what I would do if I had Instagram and TikTok at 10 years old, at 12 years old.
Yeah, it's totally different. As you said before, I do a lot of entertainment, and I see the difference between when I started entertainment to now. Kids are they want everything now, and it has to be quick. Like, we play a song at an event, and they only want 10 seconds or 15 seconds, and they want the next song. Before, you could play, when I first started out, you could play the whole entire song, and you could enjoy it, that kind of deal. Now it's like, just give me the hit and then move on to the next. So now we have to pivot and have to be aware of how fast these kids want it, and you have to keep up or else you get left behind.
Right. And so my 5-year-old Chase, who, 8 years away from his bar mitzvah, now he has ADHD, so I don't know if it's the ADHD or if it's just the world, though. But, he's on YouTube playing a song, and we're dancing. Literally last night, we're dancing to it. Right. And then it's rewind. And I'm like,
next, what's the next
song? It's been a minute.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Finish the song. Rewind. It is again.
It is the TikTok era because they just learn to dance for 15 to 20 seconds, and then they don't listen to the whole song. So when we do queue up songs at events, we have to make sure we get the meat of the song so they understand it. Because if you play from the beginning, they'll have no clue what it is until it hits the part they're like, oh, and they're doing their stupid routines and whatever.
So there's no more.
It's like an old man on a porch. Oh, you kids, get off my lawn.
Right. So there's no more Biggie and Tupac, like 1 minute intro.
No. There's no 5-minute songs, 6-minute songs anymore. No.
Boom, 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 fast. Okay, but I guess it makes the DJ you got to be better with the remixes and everything, right?
No, but it doesn't even if you're good. It's just that they only want the 15 seconds, and then they're moving on to the next thing.
Right.
So
okay. Now, NMB, I want to talk a little bit about North Miami Beach because it is very diverse culturally, at least now. But what was it like when you were there? Well, you said you were just trying to fit in.
Yeah, for me, it was weird because growing up in Jamaica, it's not about race or anything like that. It's about social stature. Either you're rich, you're middle class, or you're poor.
Okay.
So unfortunately, I learned about racism coming to America because I didn't know because in Jamaica, there are Chinese Jamaicans, Jewish Jamaicans, white Jamaicans, black. So they don't look at it as like, oh, whatever. We're just Jamaicans. Okay. But it pivots when how much money you have. Then it depends on how you live. And you live in the mountains, or you live in this. Is your parent a teacher, or whatever your profession is? That's what they look at. So coming here, it was a very weird shift for me because now people are not looking at my social stature. They're looking at what my color of my skin and judging off that right off. So that was a very big culture change for me right off the bat.
Okay. And so how did that kind of influence your formative years besides just losing?
You know what? Sometimes ignorance is bliss. I was never brought up about race. So I just like went about my life. If someone didn't like me, I just thought they didn't like me because they just didn't like me, not because of what I looked like or whatever. It's just like, hey, we don't get along, move on to the next person. So in that facet, ignorance was bliss. So I didn't feel it until you learned about it. Then you're like, well, maybe that made sense now.
Right. Okay. And throughout these years, did you always want to get into entertainment? Or and how did you get to Miami, college?
The thing is that my entertainment was like, I was always a dancer. I was always the child that wanted to get up and do and be outgoing. So I didn't think that would lead to anything. So when I went to NMB, I got into musical theater. So musical theater, I found my niche. I was a singer. I did musical theater. I danced. I was one of the first cheerleaders in high school, male cheerleaders, like one of the first ever in that school. They still have my picture up there in the halls. They probably has an afro or something or a flat top.
The trailblazer.
It's the trailblazer. That's it, cheerleading. And I found my niche in musical theater. And I was like, this is something I can dance, I can sing. And I parlayed that into college. I had to try out for the School of Music at University of Miami. And that's what I did there. Went there for musical theater and psychology. So it kind of authentically like paved the way to where I wanted to be and where I ended up today.
Great. So you're at the U,
right
there doing musical theater. Now, when you're there, were you focused more on, was it maybe dancing, singing? Was it the actual like Broadway type?
Actually, when I was there, I could have used a little more direction because then I got involved in cheerleading and then that ruined my voice a little bit. And it kind of segued away from the musical theater and the singing. And I kind of got lost my way because I was like, this is a whole new world. Like, college. Like, bad enough I just came into the country a couple of years ago when high school was a big deal because it was like thousands and thousands of kids. And in Jamaica, everybody knows who you are because little do you know, you start high school at age 6.
Wow.
I mean, not age 6, grade 6.
Okay.
So that's when high school starts in Jamaican educational system. High school here starts at 9 or 10. So it's a little bit different. So to backtrack a little bit, to determine what you would be in life in Jamaica, they have this thing called Common Entrance. It's a island-wide exam that every kid takes. And if you do well, you go on to college. If you don't do well, you go to a trade school. So at grade 6, they're determining what your life is going to be.
Wow. So basically about 12 years old.
Yes. So here you are determining what your life is going to be at that point in time. And now the results are posted in an island-wide newspaper. So if you don't do well here, everybody in the world, everybody's gonna know that you didn't do well. And now
it's like one of those movies where you're slaughtered into this.
Exactly. So, and my mom is a principal, so she's well known. So here it's a lot of pressure that I got to do well on this examination, or else, But you're determined of your life that either you go left or you go right, and then you have to proceed down that line. So,
wow. Okay. So you're at Miami. I mean, a whole new world.
Right.
Is it Party Dale? Is it
going
to the football games?
It was fun going to football games. I was a cheerleader. I got involved in all the stuff. But it was, I don't think I focused on my schooling as I was supposed to. So that kind of took a little left turn. But while I was there, something unique happened. Me being who I am, I joined a fraternity We had fun. But on a Friday, we always hung out outside of our fraternity house. And for that day, we were playing music of some kind. And I decided to dance on top of a table. Let me take a step right here.
All right. All good stories start with, I decided to start dancing on time.
So we're just hanging out with my fraternity brothers. We were playing something. I was dancing on a table. And this young lady happened to be walking by. She saw me. She stopped, came over, and she goes, "Hey." I'm like, "Hey." I'm like, "Oh, she's kind of hot." They're like, "What's going on there? It's college. Let's get that." She goes, "Hey, my fiance." I'm like, "Oh, great. This is not going where I wanted to go." My fiance just moved down, and I just moved down from New York. We have an entertainment company, and we're looking for dancers. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm not going to be a stripper. I'm good. I don't think my mom's going to go with. And she's like, no. It's not like that. She's like, we do these events called bar and bar mitzvahs. Now, coming from Jamaica, no clue what that meant. It's like, no, we have dancers, we have DJs, we do. I'm like, I don't know if that's for me. She goes, listen, just come to the office, take a look. And if you like it, then we'll, move forward. I'm like, all right, that's fine. Now, thinking back on that moment in my life, let's say I would have gone to the bathroom, or let's say I wasn't there at that moment in time, I would have missed her. She would have walked by, and my life would have not gone the way it's gone.
Right. Maybe you'd be a principal.
Or just something else, working a 9 to 5. But the fact of time, place, opportunity, I went, met with her fiance, watched the video. I'm like, oh, so I just dance with people and you pay me?
Right.
I'm like, I'm doing that for free right now. And
I need to rethink my business.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's how my life changed from just being a college student, not sure where I'm going to turn out, to getting into the entertainment. So by chance.
Right. So that's amazing. Right place, right time, but also seizing the opportunity. So one thing I learned, and I was taught from my grandfather, I was very close with both all my grandparents, but especially my grandfathers. And my mom's dad, high school dropout, forged his birth certificate so he can go fight in World War II, owned coin-operated laundromats in New York and in Queens,
right,
and different things. So he was the street smart person who retired in the late 70s with a few $1 million, whatever, from his business. Told me stories about how he had to pay off the mob and all this different stuff, right? But he used to always say, he's like, Adam, they say opportunity knocks, once. He's like, it knocks every single day,
right,
all the time. You just have to be in the right place, the right time, and you have to capitalize on it.
And you have to recognize it and then perceive. So I think they go to college to figure out what they want to become. And I think after that experience and seizing that opportunity, that's what I thought, this is my moment. This is what I want to do. And that is how my career started. And here I am doing it maybe 2 decades, maybe a decade and a half later, or maybe more than that, actually.
I said my age, but I'm not going to.
That's okay. Black don't crack, as they say. But it's
you might be 120. You still a third.
I'm in a deal with a vampire. It's all good. And that's how it all started for me. And now how I got to the Heat also got linked to bar and bar mitzvahs.
And I want to get that in a second, but one thing is, so not everybody, I would say most people, are certainly not as much of an extrovert as you are, right? They and like, I think I'm more of that extroverted, introvert, ambivert, whatever. I turn it on when I need to, but I still do like to decompress alone or in quiet. Maccabi, I'm running around. I'm having them.
You have no choice.
I'm an ultra.
Well, that's more like your vacation time.
Right,
there you go.
But then a few days after Maccabi, I'm like, I just want to be left alone, because I was literally around hundreds, if not thousands, of people, talking to everybody for a week. So on that aspect of seizing the opportunity, of taking the affirmative steps to go out and seize this, right? There's a lot of people who are just shy or maybe scared to be rejected or scared of failure. So what advice would you say? Because for you, it's easy, or it appears to be easy, but what would you say for those people to kind of get out of their shell and just do it?
Well, it's also confidence. If you're not confident in yourself, you can't portray confidence. And that's a big deal. Getting out of your shell, I really don't know have an advice for someone to, because if you don't feel it, it's not going to be authentic, and you're just going to look like you're forcing it and trying to be something that you're not. But it's, if you have confidence in yourself, that's where it starts. Because if you wait for someone to give you that pat on the shoulder and said, "Oh, you're doing a great job," or "You're great at what you do," you probably may not get it. You may not get it, but I guarantee about 90% of the time, no one's going to go out of their way to say, "Hey, you're amazing at what you do."
Right.
So you have to have that self-confidence, go forward, try it. If it doesn't work, try it again. It doesn't work, try again until you realize that maybe you have it or you don't have it, but you have to try.
Right. And I've learned one of the things for a lot of people in our firm and just throughout is people these days, I think, have too much of a fear of failure, especially when we're talking about successful people. I learned that at law school. When I went to Miami for law school, I will never forget my first exam was a 5.5 hour contracts exam. It was 11 30-minute fact patterns. So you're just constantly pinging back and forth to 11 different fact patterns. It wasn't difficult. It was just long and arduous. It was just long. And it was 5.5 hours.
Right.
But I remember we all went out to Monty's to go party and celebrate after.
Mounted trainers, yeah.
And one girl left on a stretcher in an ambulance because she had a panic attack. And I will never forget that, because to me it was like, just why? Like, I felt so bad for her. I felt terrible, but she had kind of let that fear of failure. And when we're in law school, it's not the traditional, you do well, you get an A, you know the material, you get an A. At Miami back in the day, it was, all right, so there's 50 of you. I'm allowed to give 4 A's, and the curve is a C+. So that means, I remember my legal research and writing professor said, great news. Y'all are very smart and you're good writers. Bad news, 94% is a C+ because of the curve. Deal.
So going into it, you know that only 4 people out of 50 will get. So now you're putting that pressure on yourself.
Right.
They saying, "Oh my God, I must do this or else."
Right. And so people have that fear of failure, or they can't handle it. And that's something that I think in our firm, we're really trying to make sure that people can learn and evolve and say, look, it's okay to not be perfect all the time.
Mm.
It's okay as long as you're, we'd say, we actually in our office, we have the Vince Lombardi quote of chase perfection and catch excellence, and just trying to mentally be okay with not being perfect. So that's something too, that fear of failure.
In my own personal thing is that nothing can ever be achieved without enthusiasm. Like if you don't have that, especially in entertainment, if you don't go into it having that, okay, let's just kill it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But start up top. And if it trickles down, then you land at a nice, comfortable pace. But you have to have enthusiasm going into it. If you don't have it, then what's the point,
So I know we're going off a little bit, but this is important. This is something I really want to know. You can't be enthusiastic every minute of every day. So how do you personally, when you're like, I'm just tired today? Or
there's a moment, and I'm in the business that it has to be 100% all the time. It has to be a home run every time. You can't do one party and say, okay, this party's okay, and then the other party's, because everyone sees you at this one party is like, wow, he was amazing. Now they expect that or more, and that's a high bar to keep. Right. I do get tired at times, but I have no other choice. This is it. This is the bet I've made. This is what I had. So this is what I have to move forward with. It's like you can't lose half your cases of like, oh,
right,
50-50, whatever happened. But you got to go. You just got to do it. This is what you have to do. I would rather do that than work a 9 to 5.
Right. Okay.
So that'd be the alternative.
And do you have those moments where you're looking at yourself in the mirror, just hyping yourself up? Or
you have to, you have to get the psyche, like, all right, let's go knock it out. Like every party's not going to be everybody's going to run to the dance floor and want to dance. You have to create that. So I just go into a zone. I don't know how I do it. And I have my DJ that I've been working with for over 10 years. And we just look at each other. All right, let's just go.
It's go time.
This is go time. Let's try this. And that's from the experience. Like if this is not working, pivot to this. If that's not working, pivot to that. There's always something you can do. And if you keep on going, and even sometimes it doesn't work out to your expectation, but you have a great end result, you're like, at least we know we gave it our all. And that's the whole thing.
So I think it's actually this exact same, no matter the industry, right? I'm sure surgeons, they get in there and they're like, all right, it's go time. Whether it's TR or plastic surgery. For us lawyers, when we're in court, when we're battling in trial, you got to psych yourself up. It's go time.
It's go time.
Whatever's going on personally, that is out the window.
Like I've done parties sick. But that's not their problem. That's not their responsibility. This one time, I have one time to make this happen. Let's say, yeah, as you said, your child's party's mitzvah is coming up in a couple of years. This is one moment I have for this child. I can't say, oh, Timmy, sorry, I don't feel like it today. Then I just ruined his life. So there's I take the burden of that very seriously. And people are like, oh, you do a bar mitzvah, but a lot goes into it. A lot of thought goes into it. Yeah, I make sure I try to make everything very specific for that child, even though that's my 1,000th party in over how many years. But I have to do that because I know I have to this day, I have kids coming up to me and they're like 20 something years old. Like, you did my party. It was the greatest, but I remember this. And I may not remember it, but they do. And that's what it comes down to.
Exactly. Now, okay. So I was at a bar mitzvah a year ago, and it's my first bar mitzvah in a while. Cause now some of my college friends, their kids are getting to be, 12, 13, 14. And the attire may be changing. Okay, that's all I'll comment on that. But the boys here and the girls here is still the same. So how do you get the interaction of 13-year-old boys and girls on the dance floor doing all that and off their phones?
That's once again, it's a TikTok age. So you have to lean into the TikToks, like play the TikTok songs. It's right now, parties have evolved from boys and girls to just a club atmosphere. So as long as they're on the dance floor, I don't try too hard to make them do what I want them to do. If they're sitting on the couch on their phone, then that makes everything looks worse than it is. But as long as they're on the dance floor, play the music, they'll organically get involved. If you try too hard, and it just forces them away. And that's how kids are. And I talk to them like I would talk to you. I was like, come on, man. Would you want your party to be like this if you're sitting on the phone and at your party? Would you want your friends not participating? So a little bit of Jewish guilt helps.
I mean, you are an honorary Jew.
Yeah, I'm full from the waist up. Yeah, there you go. So I got you card with that one. But it's all about the music drives everything. And now, from when I started to now, the production is on a different level. LED screens, CO2 guns, cold sparks, lighting. It's like ultra sometimes, some of these parties. I've got one coming up. They rented out the Lone Depot Park. So, that. I've done one when they rented out the arena that I work at. So I did one at into Miami. So it's like the venues have changed. So now you have to up your game. And I think that's what gets me still excited is the different venues. Because if I did it at the same temple each week and all right, you become that. You just become wallpaper. But planning a different event and where it's at makes it happier.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Fantastic. That's so cool.
The Success in South Florida podcast is brought to you by the team at Rossen Law Firm. If you need DUI or criminal defense representation, call the Rossen Law Firm at 754-206-6200 or check the description of today's episode for more contact information. The Rossen Law Firm, helping good people when bad things happen so they can achieve their best futures.
So now let's go back. So you're here, you're at Miami, this opportunity comes about. And so you seize on it, you take it, and then walk us through kind of just that journey and how that opened up other doors for you.
Well, I started as a dancer, and back in the day, and they said, oh, we're going to pay you $150 to dance at the bar mitzvah. I was like, oh, I'm making it right. Making it right. $150 back then was amazing.
And you're the rich guy in the frat, right?
I'm out here just buying gas for everybody, But it was, you started, and I think why I'm good at what I do now is because I started from the bottom. It sounds weird. Started from the bottom, now I'm here because I had to learn how to be a dancer and learn how to interact with people. So when my employees say, "Oh, I can't do this," I'm like, "I've done it, so you can't tell me not to do it. I don't know how to do it." So So I'd start as a dancer, and then I'm the type of personality I wanted the next step. So from becoming a dancer, I wanted to become an MC. So I learned how to become an MC, and I had to go to New York to do that. I was in New York for a year and a half. Not a lie. I was in New York for 6 months. And the mecca of bar and bat mitzvah was Long Island.
Yes. The north.
Yes. Long Island. Hicksville, New York. There was at least 4 different companies at that time who were like the top of their game. And I went to, it was like Talk about parties. There was like 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, maybe 1 on Thursday. I had to go to Connecticut, New Jersey, Long Island, back in New York, back in the city. So I learned from different MCs, and I took something that I like and made it my own. And that's how I became an MC. Now, how it became the Miami Heat is a different journey.
All right, let's get into it.
All right, let's get into it. There was they used to have a WNBA team here, Miami Soul, back in the day. They were here for 3 years and then went on to, I think they were before their time. Now WNBA is bigger. Everybody's into it. I was a dancer. They looking for, entertainment team, but they wanted to look different from the Miami Heat because the Miami Heat have the Miami Heat dancers who were all girls. The WNBA team wanted guys and girls. So I tried out for that and I made the team, even because I wasn't the best dancer. But once again, my personality shined through. They chose me, and I was on that team for 2 years. And while I was there, I said, hey, by the way, I do a little hosting on the side. So I became the host of the Miami Soul.
Ah, okay.
So while doing that, seeing that the Miami Heat and the Miami Soul were together, people were seeing me.
Is this in the Miami Arena days?
Yeah.
Or was this the AAA?
It was AAA.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they were like
2000s.
earlier.
Right.
Yeah. And when the Miami Soul went under, I thought it was going to be an easy transition to the Miami Heat. No, because people in the Miami Heat already had that job. They already had a host. They already had a DJ. They already had so I went back to being just a regular season ticket holder. And here's where you always should be yourself, because as a season ticket holder, I used to get up and dance in my seats and the camera would gravitate towards me. So they were seeing me again before they were seeing me. So when they decided to approach me and said, hey, we know you work for the Soul. We see how the fans react to you. I was the one starting the wave. I was the one getting people dancing in their seats. I was getting my section riled up. They're like, this is something that we could use for the Miami Heat. We have the 300 and 400 level at the arena that seems to get not enough interaction with the people down, because the Heat dancers really don't go upstairs. The host is everywhere, but she can't be everywhere. And he was a female host at the time. You may know her, Jill Martin. She's now famous on CBS. So they wanted a entertainment for 300 and 400 level, and they called it the Hoop Troop. And I was the head of the Hoop Troop, and we only entertained the 300 and 400 level. Now, here's where my name came about. They called it the Mayor of Uptown.
Okay.
So the Uptown was known, 300 and 400 level were the Uptown level. And they named me the Mayor of Uptown. I was like, this is so long. So after a couple of years, it just transitioned to Uptown Dale. And that's where it's been. But
I've always wondered. I never knew. It's like, okay, Uptown Dale.
people think my real name is not Dale. They just think that somebody just made up. It's so funny.
Well, I mean, when you do, some of the other events, or maybe if, when you're at Inter Miami,
Right.
Uptown Dale, right? I mean, that's
Once I cross the border from 954 to 305, it turns into Dale. Give me the accent on the E. There you go.
exactly. There you go. You could do the next Pitbull concert. You'll be great. So you're there. You're getting this cult following.
Right.
This is
Still not the host yet, by the way.
Right.
I'm just a regular, just entertaining the people in the stands, throwing T-shirts, blah, 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 that kind of deal.
But it's paid.
Right.
You're getting
Yeah.
paid. So now you're there. You went from season ticket holder. Well, you went from, paid, right,
Right.
host of the Soul, back to season ticket holder. Now you're getting to go, right? And you're going to all the
Right.
games. You can't sell a game. You can't not go to a game. I'm sure they're like, we need you there for the Uptown crew. And how did it evolve after that?
Well, my first game working for the Heat was 2006. And it was in ring night from when they just won the championship. And we proceeded to lose very badly to Chicago Bulls that night. I remember it clearly. But that was my first introduction to the Miami Heat, like ring night. There's Shaq right there, there's D Wade, and they all get in rings. I'm like, oh, it's going to be like this all the time now. We're just going to be winning everything. So while I was there, once again, my personality wanted to do the next step. I saw the host, and I'm like, I could do that. But at the point in time, they had Michael B., who was a PA announcer, a male, DJ Irie, a male DJ. They felt like they needed a female voice just to combat all the male testosterone, of course, the male players, whatever. Excuse me. But I always said I could do that. So I had to sit behind 4 or 5 other hosts before I even got my shot.
So when Joe Martin left, they
Yeah.
gave other people
Another
shots.
female, because they want to stick with that.
Right. And you're sitting there waiting on deck saying,
yeah.
guys, I can do this.
Yeah.
And how much did you advocate for yourself?
I did.
Okay.
And that's one of the things that I guess that's how you were brought up. You never, now people promote themselves more, like, because they have the capacity to do either, whether it be on Instagram or whatever, they have their own platform to promote themselves. Back then, you have to wait for someone to say, give that person a chance. And that's the difference between growing up now and growing up then. You have to wait for people to give you that, open the door for you. So I just kept on doing what I was doing until I got an opportunity about 5 years in. And I said, hey, so now in my mind, I'm like, yes, I got it. And then something came over me like, oh, crap. Will I be able to live up to this? Now it's a bigger arena. Now all eyes on you. And I think that inner nervousness drives me. If I don't feel it, like to this day, like when I even do a bar mitzvah, if I don't feel that nervousness inside, like, all right, play that first song, getting everybody in the dance floor, that means I should stop. Because I'm not doing it for the right reasons anymore. I'm just doing it for the money. So once that light clicks on, it goes away.
Right. Well, and so I've had that my whole life, whether it's playing basketball at a high level, whether it's coaching at any level, but especially high level, you're always sitting there that, the 10 minutes of player introductions, depending on the level, right? All that different stuff, warm-ups, and you're just sitting there, you're nervous. Especially if it's in high school and they're playing the national anthem, which sometimes we do, you're sitting there like, come on, let's go. And then when you're in that starting 5 or you're coaching and you're sitting there like, all right, let's just get this jump ball and let's just start playing. Every game, whether it's the state championship game, which I've been a part of too in high school, whether it's a gold medal Maccabi game or whether it's a USSSA or AAU game that basically means nothing, over the summer, I always have that pit in my stomach, coaching, playing, anything. And as being a trial lawyer, same thing. You're sitting there and I'm in court and it's like, there might be 10 cases on the docket set for trial, all of them. And it's which one is the judge going to pick? And a lot of times it might take 30 minutes, 45 minutes for the judge to finally select ours. Then it's okay. We need the jury to come. It's going to take 20 more minutes to get all these jurors. And then from the defense side, the judge talks to them first for about an hour. The prosecutor talks to them next for about an hour. And you're sitting there going, when can I go? Let me at him. Let me at him. And the butterflies are there.
Once I get the first word out, then I'm fine. And and that's the whole thing. So I was like, this is what you asked for. Now you have to live up to it. And that's when, and the same thing with my entertainment field, like, people are now paying extra money for you because now you have this what's the word I'm looking for?
Status.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's like, Dale is the top person. Oh, we got Dale and Dale's going to kill it. And then like, whether or not the person's happy or whatever, or not in the mood, I got to get him in the mood. So
one season you were good and the next season you were the best, top of the line because of the heat, right?
Right. So, and then you have to match that every going out. So my first rule was like, don't think about the people that are there because there's 20,000 people looking at you. Ignore that. Deal with the person you're talking to. So if I'm dealing with you, I don't care about what's going on. People will understand what you're saying. Don't worry about the reaction or whatever. Deal with the person and then move forward. Because if you're worried about, oh my God, there's 20,000 people looking at me, you'll probably freeze up and lose your mind. And that's how I proceeded after I got the cake.
What did you do to mentally prepare for that change?
The best word I can say is prepare. Prepare yourself. Know what you're saying before you walk out there. Don't just wing it. There's no winging it. Because once you get stuck, it's just like, it feels like 2 seconds feels like 20 minutes of dead silence. Like, when something's not going right, it just feels like the world is like looking at you. And I've had opportunities where things have gone wrong. My biggest blunder, I would say, thank God it wasn't on camera. We used to have to get sound bites from celebrities or rappers who came to the arena. And I will never make this mistake again. Thank God there's Google now. So you Google the person ahead of time, know who they are. So I had this rapper that was there. And I was like, hey, could you go over there and get a soundbite from him? And said, hey, what's up? My name is da-da-da. I'm at the Miami game. So I walked up to him and I go, hey, Soldier Boy, can you get me this soundbite? He goes, I'm not Soldier Boy. And it was fabulous. And I was like, oh, shit. I'm like, oh, my bad, man. Fabulous. Can you do this? So it was, it is always know what you're saying before you say it and always know what you do. And that still sticks with me. This was like maybe 15 years ago. But that is always something in the back of my mind that I remember. Know what you're doing before you go ahead and do it. Find out, double check, triple check. Even if you think you know, just double check. Let's make sure.
I think that's a great lesson because I know you're great off the cuff.
Right.
I'm great off the cuff too, but we see it in trial work too, and in law, probably in every industry. There's some lawyers, some trial lawyers that are brilliant trial lawyers and just get up and wing it. And we always tell our clients, yeah, I can do that, but we're not. It's
right.
Obsessive preparation when you're dealing with something so important.
Comes second nature to you.
Yes. And, and a lot of people will just cut corners and wing it. So I think that's an amazing lesson. So anybody listening to this, no matter how good you are,
right.
no matter how talented, no matter how long you've done it, no matter how long I've just, I can wing it. You must always prepare.
And that took a while for me to get over it too, because I'm so meticulous about how I go prepare myself. Even as a coach, I prepare myself, like going into practices. I want to have something lined up so you're not guessing, or because that wastes time and the kids lose focus. So that took a while for me to get over. I'm like, okay, it happened. You learn from it, move forward.
Right.
Okay, you can't dwell. Don't dwell. If something happens and you mistake, fix it as best you can. If you dwell on it, then you make it more of a mistake.
And so at what point did you decide to actually start your company? Was this when you were with the Soul or after you were at the Heat? And walk us through that, because the job, right, is great and feeds into everything, but it's a little different when you are making the leap from employee to the employer.
Right. When I was with the Soul, I was working not for myself, but I had a partner. And here's where things get a little dicey, because having a partnership, you have to trust the other person implicitly until you don't, and you can't get that back. Once you open that Pandora's box and you realize that the partnership is not working anymore, and my job is based on how I'm feeling. It's not like A, B, or C, you do a good job. It's how you make the other person feel. So if I'm not feeling it, I can't make the other person feel it. So when things weren't going well with my partnership, I decided to leave the partnership and start my own thing. After years of working together and, commingling and thinking everything is all right, after you find out the financials are not what it used to be. And that's when I became from an entertainer to a business person. I always trusted, oh, you take care of the money, I'll take care of the entertainment.
Right.
Until it's not. And then when you realize, once you open your eyes and you see it, you can't unsee it, as they say. So I stopped being an entertainer and became a business person, decided to say, you can have, instead of fighting back and forth, because I'm a Cancer, either I'm with you or against you. There's no gray areas of Cancer. Either I'm your best friend or your worst enemy. I said, you know what? I'm not going to fight over equipment and all this stuff. Here's what you're going to do. I want to walk away with my name. You can have everything else. And that's what I did. I was like, I rather have a peace of mind that I can trust myself and whatever. And right now, my company could be a lot larger with a lot different people working for me. But you know what? After that experience, I decided I'm going to bet on myself. You hear athletes say that a lot. They bet on themselves and they don't take that contract they should have taken in season, and they wait till off season, and they either get a better contract or a worse contract. It was a gamble. And I decided to walk away from that.
The most famous example of it not working out, at least recent time, I think, was Isaiah Thomas. Yep. Said he better back up the Brinks truck. Mm-hmm. Then he blew out, his knee? And done.
Right.
But that sucked.
That does suck.
That was massive. But most of the time, the vast majority of the time, when people do make that decision to bet on themselves, I think it works.
Right.
Whether in sports or business or
my biggest asset was my reputation and my name. So I said, you can't, I don't want you to hold that. Just let me walk away with that. And I started that from scratch. So I left the company and I sat in, and it was a very big crossroads, because I was like, I don't know what am I going to do? This is all I've known. So I've got to figure it out. It's like sink or swim. So I thought of it, molded over, and Dale the host was formed.
Oh, there you go.
And I chose the name Dale the Host because I didn't want it to be only bar and bar mitzvah based. I wanted Dale the Host to be anything you got, give me a mic, I can do it. And that's how Dale the Host became. You know, it ties into Uptown Dale in a little bit, but it kind of makes a right turn away and just becomes just Dale the Host, the professional part. So when I have my Instagram, Uptown Dale is the fun and that, and then you go to Dale the Host, and it's all about my events, my parties, all my clients, and all that stuff, and highlighting that stuff.
So it could be a charity gala.
It could be, I do charity galas, weddings. It could be, a 5K. It could be a kid's birthday party in the back of the yard. Whatever you have. And then my own personal motto is have mic will travel. So give me a mic. You just say, have mic will travel. And that's how we roll.
Well entertained.
Yes, exactly. So, so pretty much I banked on myself, and it slowly picked up and picked up and picked up and picked up. Other companies have approached me in the past. I'm like, I don't want to get linked with another person and go through what I went through. Even though you learn something good, but you learn something bad from it. I was like, no. So now I'm just a free agent doing my own thing. And then if you want to use me, here's the price. I'll take care of it and then move on with life.
Right. Well, I think having that vision of what you want is so important, because some people want to grow for growth's sake. So, if you asked me in maybe 2018, 2019, well, Adam, what do you want from your law firm as we were growing? I didn't have a real vision. We didn't have a mission. We didn't really have core values in our business. And I hadn't really taken the time to think about it. So in that day, I would say, I don't know. I want more. I want to grow. What do you want? I'm like, well, more money would be nice. Bigger firm would be nice. Why? I don't know. If anybody asks, I don't know.
More money, more problems, though.
Right.
So there you go.
Exactly. So now we go through a business program called EOS that we run. It's a business like operating system. But now we've been very intentional to think about, well, what do we want? Why do we want it? How are we going to get there? And what I want could be totally different than what a different law firm or business owner wants. But at least we've thought it through and we know why. And I think that's the most important, because I'll get on stage and talk at a lot of like lawyer marketing or business conferences. And I always tell people, like, look, just because we're one of the largest criminal defense firms in South Florida and the country now, doesn't mean you have to be like me. Like, be you, be whatever you want, whatever makes
do what makes you comfortable, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to swing for the fences and you realize that, wait, hold on a second, I don't have that kind of power anymore, and now you've bitten off more than you can chew, and then here you are. So I think that's why I decided to do my company based on what I can handle. And there was a lot of trial and error. I'm like, maybe I want to do 5 parties a week, but then again, if you burn yourself out, what's the point? So I moved my prices to a higher level. So if you want me, this is the price you pay, but you get the full 100% of me. Not if I lower the price and I can do 5 more parties and then I'm burnt out. I'd rather do 1 at a higher level than 5 at a less level, but I still have, no, it's not worth it.
Well, and that's a great value proposition, because you're basically saying, look, the business is me and my time, so I can either divide myself and my quality, right? Because your voice can't probably last for 5 over a day and a half or whatever. So you're paying to get all of me, and you're paying to keep me away from your, so else's, not deliberately keep me away, but I can
first come, first serve.
Exactly.
And it took me a while to learn how to sell myself, because I was as I said, I was an entertainer first, then became a business person. Like sitting in front of, let's say you're the client, I'm like, oh, by the way, it's $1 million for me on Saturday, and like with a straight face, and then sit there and have to sell them and have them sign it. That was kind of awkward for me to like do for a long time. And then I try to get a salesperson to do it, then I would have to pay them to do it. So I was like, but it took a while to become the business person.
And how was it when you would sit there and look at somebody and quote a fee? I mean, because, we joke sometimes, especially in criminal law, we have to, it's different. Personal injury is so easy. It's, oh, you were hurt, sign this contract, don't pay me any money. And guess what? I'm going to get you treatment, and I'm going to give you money. How great is that? Right? Sign right here on the iPad. Amazing. For us, it's, oh, something bad happened to you. You either made a bad choice or was in a bad situation. you've had to pay a bunch of money already, get out of jail, maybe get your car back, different things, and you have to pay us. And this was completely unexpected, right? And we're not taught that. We're not trained salespeople. So I remember early on in my career when I would meet with somebody and quote them the fee, a lot of times I would quote the fee and then I would just start selling against myself or just start lowering it.
Like yeah, I'll give you 10% off right now.
Right. And I'm like, what am I doing? And when we have new lawyers come in as well, we have to train them to understand that of just quote the fee. And I always say, I'm like, then you basically shut up and you just breathe through your nose and you just let there be.
Right. You gotta. It's like have a poker face and hold your cards a little bit. Let it have some dead air so they can think about what they're doing before you say, "Oh, don't worry, I'll take 5,000 off." Like, so that was the hardest part for me to learn. So now I'm comfortable in saying, "Here's my price," and if they walk away, they walk away. But somebody will take it. You can't, as you said, bid against yourself.
Right, and when you know, hey, I'm gonna knock the socks off of everybody. I'm gonna make this.
I know what I can bring. I know what I bring, and you've seen what I can bring. That's why you're sitting in front of me. So, and anybody that sits down in front of me know what my price is going in. So it's not like a surprise, like, oh, surprise, it's gonna be $1 million. You know, it's $1 million. You just wait to see if I will. And I love this part when they go, if you do this for me, I won't tell anybody. Lies. They always tell. They always tell. Like, well, you did. And then it turns into, well, you did this for XYZ. Why can you do this for me? And it goes downhill. So rather you stick to your guns, believe in yourself. This is what you're worth. And they always say, know your worth. It sounds very cliche, but it's true.
Right. And they're coming to you. They're not coming to you cold.
Right.
They're coming to you, not even warm, hot. They know. Right. So they're coming already because they want you. I mean, maybe you have a few people that are interviewing you and 2 or 3 others. So how do you deal with that and do you get any?
Very few and far between that I get somebody that doesn't know what I do. And that's where the inception of my website and Instagram comes in. Or I just refer them to somebody I just did last week. I'm like, your friend around the corner had me. Here it is. It's very few that somebody has come and say, oh, I've never heard of you, or in this genre of the entertainment world. And then that's why it's so important to me when I talk to my employees. I said, you may be able to walk away after this event because you're just a dancer, not just a dancer, but you're just doing this one gig. I have to live with it. This is my face. I'm out in the community. They know how to find me. Like I see them every day. So you have to perform at your best because then you're a reflection of what I do. So I tell them all the time, like, don't just take this like, oh, I'm just going to get paid and move on. You can walk away from it. I can't.
Right. Okay. So Dale, I want to pivot a little bit into how you got into coaching, whether it's soccer and especially girls, and you do the Maccabi games, you do the Poznak. So how did that whole thing begin?
Well, I played a little bit of soccer in Jamaica, and when I came here, University of Miami didn't have a team, so we had like clubs, so we played soccer. So I've always been an avid fan of soccer. I love playing soccer. And I think before I get to how I got into soccer, I think the reason why I'm good at being a coach, and I believe I'm a very good soccer coach, is because I was a middle-of-the-road soccer player. So I had to work harder just to be better, as opposed to, I always say, the reason why Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan are not good coaches is because they were so good at their skill that they're like, how can you not do a reverse 360 dunk? Right. I do it like this. This is how you do it. Not everybody can do that. So people who are better coaches are like, you always see like people who like into numbers and like nerdy people become coaches because they know how hard it takes to get to that level.
Right. Or good role players like Steve Kerr.
Right.
I mean, he's phenomenal until he got to a point where he had to be that real
cerebral He wasn't player. The best 3-point shooter, but he knows how hard he had to work to become a good 3-point shooter. So he knows what the work it takes to get to that point. So I started coaching in a rec soccer because I had time and I wanted to be involved in soccer. And from that, a parent needed a coach at youth school. Before we go to youth school, I was at a charter school, and I was just getting my foot wet because I wanted to start coaching somewhere, but it was just disoriented. It was all over the place, and then someone hired me away from that to go to youth school. NSU now is what it's called, And I stayed there for 15 years, coaching varsity girls, middle school boys, varsity guys. So I've done it all. I've coached boys and girls, and I love building something. And I'm very competitive, and it gets my competitive juices flowing. I still play soccer now with my friends, 7-on-7 every now and then when I can stretch it out and get it going. But I like building. I like building a team. I like the feeling you get from start when you just have a tryouts, and then it's up to you to put all these pieces in place. And I've won championships at the middle school level. I've won gold medal Maccabi. I was very impressed with the last Maccabi gold that we got because we had 5 different delegations in one playing together. And these girls have never met. And it's harder to coach girls when they don't like each other. And these girls never met each other. They just walk out to the field on Monday like, hey, this is so-and-so, this is so-and-so. Now let's play together as a team. And as a coach, I have to get them to gel right away because it's a week competition. You don't have 2 weeks to get it together. And I was very proud of the fact that putting together a team like that and got the goal of not losing not one game and coming out with a goal was pretty impressive. Not for the fact of my extensive soccer knowledge, but I think my personality helped me get these girls more comfortable with each other, got to know each other, got some team building things going, and then turned out to be the gold medal.
Well, I mean, X's and O's is just the baseline.
The very baseline.
That's very, 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 very baseline. So last year we're in Houston.
Right.
And
very hot.
Oh, very. I mean, I thought Texas was dry.
No.
Yes, apparently not, because it's on the coast. What little did I'm not good at geography. So I'm like, we're going to Texas, right? It's going to be hot and dry. Nope. So, I mean, it was more humid than South Florida.
Well, the year before we had Maccabi here in South Florida, and we had the wet bulb thing. They don't have that in Houston. It's hot, and you just roll with it until somebody passes out. Right. That's it.
Yeah. And I know, I remember watching the end of your gold medal game.
Yeah, oh my God.
You know, I had the benefit of playing
indoors, yeah.
In air conditioning. I mean, it was awful. And I mean, I remember 12, 13 years ago, we were both in Austin when I was in Boca and you were in Fort Lauderdale. Now, that was hot, but that was dry.
Right.
So Austin was totally different.
The best time I've had was San Diego. The weather is amazing. And that's the first time I ever had sunburn because it was a perfect meld of cool and heat and you didn't feel it. And of course, I'm bald. You can't tell right now. And I just going along with life. And then I'm like, what is this feeling on the top of my head? I've never had sunburn before because it was so nice that you didn't realize how hot it was and all that good stuff. So
yeah. But so you're there, and now you've had many other set of games where you've come in with your Fort Lauderdale team. You have a training camp 2 weeks before.
And a lot of success, actually.
Right. So how was it where you had a few girls from Fort Lauderdale? And so specifically, how did you kind of approach this and get in when you have girls from 5 different delegations? And again, there is no training camp.
No training, no.
You met them Sunday night, Monday, and you're starting to play.
Yeah, talk to them over a phone, and then they're like, okay, we want to play this position, we play this position, and you meet them for the first time, like, hey, I'm your coach. I'm like, okay. And, of course, Maccabi is a Jewish based athletic competition. So for, spoiler alert, I'm not Jewish. So here's these girls walking up.
You're a deputy.
Right. But
you've been deputized.
Well, they know me for Lauderdale, but they don't know me. These girls are walking up and here's, here our black coach. And right away they're like, taken back a little
not
bit.
From Ethiopia.
Ethiopian Jew. No. And so I have to get past that. So I don't even make that a thing. Just go past that. Hey, we all play soccer. Let's just get into it. And that as a coach, you have to have this thing that it is what it is. This is a team. These are cards you're dealt. So either you do use your extensive knowledge to make it best and pivot, or you stick to your plan and like, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to run this formation. It's not going to fit the girls that you have. And I think a lot of coaches get so caught up in their game plan, like this is what I'm going to do. And then you get the bodies and you're like, these bodies don't fit the plan. So what are you going to do?
Yeah. And I mean, that's where I think some of the emotional intelligence and the communication and understanding and knowing people and teams and how pieces of puzzles fit together is so important. That again has nothing to do with X's and O's with executing a play. It's about team building. And you said, you are a builder. You like to
Right.
build.
I like putting things together. Yes.
When you're putting together, right, a bar or bar mitzvah, I'm sure you have a lot of different dancers and people to choose from.
And a lot of different families with different wants and needs and personalities. Some are outgoing, some are not outgoing. Then you have to bring them out of their shell, and yeah.
So
it's all building. You have to build everything. So I guess doing events helps me with soccer, and doing soccer helps me with events because you have to start from scratch with nothing and then make something out.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think for me, it's the same where, I started coaching high school basketball when I was 23, when I was in law school, because I did not like law school. I loved being a lawyer, but I hated law school. So I started coaching in 2004, 2004. But also playing and being a part of team sports. I'm not a swimmer. I like to play tennis, but I was not some super competitive tennis player or golfer. It was all basketball. It was all basketball, baseball, football, team sports. And I think that's helped me so much with putting together my team here at Rossen Law Firm and knowing, being able to speak to juries and all those different things, and just the coaching throughout the years.
Coaching is my outlet. Like when I'm coaching, I'm not thinking about music or dancing when it's just soccer. And that's, I'm lucky enough to have more time during the week to actually coach and whatever, because my events are on the weekend and the heat games are, here and far and few in between. But that's how even though I know people go, why would you want to put yourself there trying to coach a high school girls soccer? Because when those girls don't want to do anything, they're not going to do anything. But I find a way to get them on board. And once they're on your side, they'll run to a wall for you. Yeah. But if they don't like you, you're out of gas.
Right, yeah. And it's all part of the same ecosystem among different industries. And really that's what I love about coaching and just, it's all about people and coming together and being a team and having fun.
Right.
Too.
You got to find that fun aspect, definitely.
You have to, because I've been a part of teams where it wasn't fun.
Not at all.
And nobody likes that. And then I've been a part of some teams where it was amazing fun. And just, like last year, our Maccabi team last year was so much fun.
Also, when you're winning, it's fun.
Yes.
It really does help. It does help.
But we were lucky. But I think in some ways we won because we had a great group.
There you go.
And every time I've had a group of players that are close and genuinely like each other, we always outperform our talent.
True.
Every single time. Sometimes we outperform to a certain degree where it's maybe not necessarily winning, but we still outperform what we would have done. And then sometimes it is where we outperform what we actually do it.
They say one bad apple ruins the whole thing. So it happens in sports all the time.
It is.
Just saying.
So true. Well, and you have to see Doc, with the Heat, and I don't know what you're talking about. So, hell yeah. It's and the access that you have, right?
Right.
Players and the whole organization's got to be something.
That's a fun gig. It's a fun gig, definitely.
Great. All right. So Dale, we've covered so much.
So much.
So much. And I think anybody who could be anywhere from 10 to maybe 90 can find value from
something there, right?
From you and whether it's sports, business, just life, right? Everything. What are just some big key takeaways that you want to let the people that are watching this kind of know? Because it is a success in South Florida.
Right.
I guess we want to lift everybody up. We want people to be living their best life and doing some real big, amazing things here.
I think the biggest takeaway from listening to my worldly knowledge, or not so much worldly knowledge, is find what makes you happy and work from that. Start from inside you, work outward. There's only thing you can do is be happy within yourself, because if you're not happy within yourself, nothing else will be functional. If you're not happy doing your job, you're like, well, I have to do this job because I get paid to do it. Yeah, I hear you, but you're not doing your best.
Right.
Because you're just trying to go through the motions. And when you go through the motions, people can see that. And my job, they see how I am. I'm like, if I walk into my gig and I'm like, it's another party, it's not going to be successful. If I walk into soccer practice, I'm like, you guys are not that good anyway, so I'm not going to try to make you better. You can tell. So back to my original thing, everything starts with enthusiasm, how you go about doing it. How you achieve is how you start. So,
And it doesn't feel like work when you're having fun.
no.
People to me say, you know, Adam, oh, could you ever retire? I'm like, well, maybe when I'm not having fun or not mentally stimulated. Not every second of every day is
It's going to be great.
amazing.
You got to work.
Right. But do you enjoy what you're doing? And the beauty of, 2025 with just the way the world is you can do anything and make money, right? You can have any type of job. You really can. I mean, it's not like we're the 1900s, right? And
This is it.
right?
Horseshoe, cobbler.
Right. Work in the factory.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you can do anything. We have so many choices out there. So I think anybody listening is, you have to just enjoy what you're doing.
That's
it. Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. So Dale, where can people find you?
Well, I'm on the gram at 2 places, at Uptown Dale or at Dale the Host, or you can see me on my website, dalethehost.com. I'm so vain. My name's all over all my things.
Great branding.
There you go. And that's about it. Yeah.
And if you want to go to a Heat game,
You want to go to Heat game, say what's up.
I mean, he's busy. He's busy working.
I may throw you a T-shirt, one size fits most, but
All right, perfect. So yeah, definitely. Dale, thank you so much.
No, thanks for having me. I'm glad we finally put it together. We think forever.
I think now top 3.
All right,
Top
I've
3.
moved up. That's all.
Maybe we'll do a poll for all of us.
That's fine. I'll take it. Hey, progress
Right.
is all I ask for.
Absolutely awesome. Well, thanks for
Appreciate it.
being here, Dale.